PTC Cast episode 38.
Yes, sir.
Hello, and welcome to PTC Cast episode 1738. Today, Chris and I talk about a little bit about positive thinking, positive habit forming, and trying to pull yourself out of that funk, man. Mm-hmm. We all know what it's like to be, caught in a routine of feeling a little down, feeling a little depressed, and we take some actionable steps on how to get yourself out of that and moving in a direction that feels good again.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by ProgressThroughChange.com. You can get your 4 Easy Habits for Fat Loss guide. It is a PDF download. It's about 15 pages that'll hop right into your inbox, and it's going to give you 4 habits that you can adapt super easily. You can do it in a day. Nothing, no equipment, no training required, nothing. You can start doing those things and start setting yourself up for success in your fat loss journey. Enjoy the show.
I've been listening to one audiobook, and I think I told you about it, The Magic of Thinking Big.
Oh, yeah, I haven't read that one in a while. What have you pulled from it?
Dude,
so far?
The biggest thing is just starting my day off with a really positive mindset.
Yeah.
Like, before, like, you know that all that shit that I was going through, it kind of made me think negatively a lot. Mm-hmm. And starting off the day, that became, I guess, my default mode.
Yeah.
That, everything wasn't all right. Mm-hmm. And
that
all
was
of
kind
that.
Of the bar.
Yeah, that was the bar, unfortunately. And then randomly I put on that book, and in the first couple chapters he talks about, self-belief, or in the first chapter he talks about self-belief, and then in that he talks about, making sure that you are always thinking positively. And I get that, you hear that a lot and it sounds gimmicky, blah, blah, blah. But dude, it has like really, really helped me.
When you say thinking positively, do you mean like, I'm going to say, do you mean, and I guess also what do you think the book means, but are you talking about like looking on the bright side of things, like assuming the best case scenario will happen, like assuming things happen for you instead of to you? Like, what exactly do you mean when you say like thinking positively? Because I agree with you in that that's kind of that's a pretty broad statement.
Yeah. So in this case, it was thinking of the present moment as being like wonderful, and the day is amazing. Everything is, going great. I feel really good. Mm-hmm. Instead of, oh, woe is me today, it's too hot outside, or, it's too this, it's not enough that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I wonder what you would kind of consider some actionable steps to get there, because I know one big thing that always frames references like that for me is like a gratitude list. So for a good while, I had a solid practice of when I was brushing my teeth, all I did was think about things I was grateful for, which could be like as simple as waking up this morning, the air conditioning, like, oh, it's kind of nice that I have this, rug under my feet and it feels really soft. You know what I mean? Like, it's just almost taking time to acknowledge things that you enjoy. Because I think there's a lot of like little things that maybe we tend to take for granted that can fly right over our heads and start thinking, kind of woe is me, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the gratitude list. I have a friend, his name is Shai Hopkins. I met with him like a week ago, and he actually showed me that every morning he has a literal list that he goes over called like a gratitude list, and he checks all the boxes. It's like 20 boxes. He reads
just things he wants to acknowledge every day.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that sounds really good. I haven't done anything like that, but the one actionable step that they talk about is literally saying out loud, hey, today's wonderful and I'm feeling great. And then putting a smile on your face.
So you're almost talking about like essentially stating it and making it something tangible is the wrong word, but making it real, right? Saying it out loud and acknowledging it.
So the way that what's his name? David? I'm just David Schwartz.
Yep.
So the way that David Schwartz talks about it is that words are powerful. They bring, meaning into things, and
I agree with that.
Yeah, and they bring things into reality. So even like in your head, if you're woe is me, and you have all these negative thoughts, then you're putting a spell, not literally, but that's going to be how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And the way that he says it is what you say out loud is going to be more powerful than what you're saying in your head.
It's funny that you were talking about this, because if you remember a couple podcasts ago, we were talking about that positive and negative self-talk,
Yes.
and the things that you say out loud have so much more meaning, have so much more like validation. Whenever you pull a thought or a feeling or something like that out and into space, you solidify it more. I'm not saying to ignore it, but I'm saying whenever you make it out and you make it known, you buy into it.
Yeah.
You give it too much credit.
Yeah. It's crazy because it's true. Like, I've met so many people who, trash talk, the whole positivity, scene. And I kind of get where they're coming from, because, their argument is, hey, negative emotions are valid,
And it's not wrong.
Yeah, they're not wrong. They are your emotions and your feelings. But the thing is, whenever they become counterproductive and becomes the default mode, like in my case, it was the default mode, and it was literally making me a pessimist, moments throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say, that's not good.
You just have to, you're basically trying your hardest to kind of like manually make it like,
yeah, exactly.
make yourself focus on those things that, you enjoy or see positively about the day.
Yeah. And, before these, I guess you could say 5 months, I think it's been, when I started feeling that way that I was feeling, I took positivity for granted. Every day, all day, I was happy, positive, blah, 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 feeling amazing. Literally nothing could make me feel the other way, no matter what it was, or no matter what magnitude, the problem that I had was. It was always, that was my default mode, positivity.
Yeah.
And, once that was taken away from me, I realized that, hey, I have to actually put in the work, the effort to be positive, which is kind of weird, but having somebody talk about it and then actually having the humility to say out loud, hey, I feel wonderful today, even when maybe at the time having the humility to do that, when I say it literally changes the way that I feel and my perspective on the day, I mean that very literally. Yeah. Very literally. You can tell. Yeah. You can immediately tell. And your mind, shifts to all the things that are okay. Yeah. And why today is, wonderful, or why you're feeling good. And it pulls you away from, the negativity. Yeah.
And sometimes I think it, definitely might not be that simple, but I think it's important that you take the step regardless. The age-old phrase, man, is feeling follows action. And so it's like you have to actively do something about it. And I know that, sometimes you can feel like you're in a serious rut and you're really, you're clawing your way out. I know for me, sometimes it's one of those things where, man, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks will pass, and suddenly I'll be in the middle of something, or just, usually when it's quiet and I'm alone or like driving or something like that, and I'll realize, man, like things have been kind of shitty for like a couple weeks now. And really what it comes down to is like, I have been thinking negatively and not doing things to take care of myself for a couple of weeks now. Those things seem to line up pretty much perfectly, man. It's like, I know the way the tone is set in my day when I get up at the first alarm, when I choose to take the dog for a walk, when I, make the first thing I eat is within, the plan or something good for me, or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like those things sort of stack upon each other, and it's all about like starting the day to the best of your ability. Yeah. Or starting something and keeping it going. You know what I mean? So I like what you said, how that was kind of like the first thing of the day, man, because sometimes that becomes your default mode before you even know it. You're just default, like, I'm going to use the word depressed, but however you'd like to describe or quantify that, like it becomes so normal that you don't even notice it until you're all the way in it. And then at that point, it's like you have to take some actionable steps to pull yourself out of it, man. You got there by accident, but you're not going to get out of it by accident. So like you said, something you can do, some actionable items would be like our gratitude list and saying out loud, like, hey, today is going to be a great day. Maybe you can say, hey, these are the things that I hope to do, that I look forward to, that I'm grateful for. Like, building some sort of practice around that, I think would be a really big part of pulling yourself out of that rut. And that might not be the solution to like, some deep, dark things that need to be dealt with, but that could definitely be something to like, help yourself just get through maybe some mild level things.
Mm-hmm. And to add on to that, something that I have found in my toolbox that really helps you get past those things is taking accountability. Because once you're able to kind of own your feelings and own why you're feeling that way, then you're in control. Like you were just saying, that the way you start off your day controls how you will feel and be for the rest of the day. The walks, the taking Cora for a walk, workouts,
Sure.
all of that stuff.
Sets
So
the tone.
yeah, so you're in control of whether you do those morning things or not. Now, if your mindset was flipped and you're like, dang, my mornings are so chaotic, I don't have time to, do the things that I
walk
need to
the
do.
dog or to,
Yeah. Now that's placed out of your control, and it's placed in the control of time.
Right.
And what can you do?
Right.
You can't do anything. But because your mindset is, hey, I know that, the past couple of weeks has been kind of shitty because I haven't been, doing the things that I need to do in the morning. Well, hey, now you have a plan, because you know that all you have to do now is fix those morning routines. And then, that solution or that problem should be solved.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes it takes falling in that hole or into that rut or feeling that depressed feeling to sort of recalibrate yourself a little bit to the importance of taking care of your mental health and doing things for yourself every day that are to make you feel good. It might be an unpopular opinion, but sometimes I think we're just supposed to be happy. Like it just happens kind of normally or naturally. And I think it's something that you actively need to work towards, whether that's like, pursuing a goal or following a passion or, having some sort of responsibility that you enjoy doing or something to hold you accountable. Like we need something to keep us in the loop of things. It's something that is not just going to, happen. Just, if you're someone you spend all day sitting on your butt, you're not really doing anything with your life. Like, and I, never mean to be mean or anything like that, but what reasons do you have to be happy? What steps have you taken?
That's a good point.
What have you done for yourself to get to that point of being able to feel happy? I don't, it's one of those things where I feel like it might not be our default state. It's a bit of a fleeting thing to think that. So it might be something that, hey, you need to take those actionable steps, even if it doesn't come naturally at first, even if it takes, a year of doing it to actually buy into it, whatever that means, even if it, dude, man, I've been there. I know it sounds stupid to like go take a walk every morning and to write down the things that you're grateful for and brush your teeth. Like, you know what I mean? Like I understand how it sounds. I've been on the other side of that coin, but you used the word humility earlier. And I think that's the most important fucking part, man, is like, without going too deep into like our high school experience, man, like we had a high school principal who had a phrase called cool daddies. And I don't know if you remember that, but that was basically people who didn't want to participate because of the way they would look or be perceived.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're a cool daddy if you weren't, part of what was going on. And that's a whole different conversation. But my point being here is like sometimes people just are, they're too above it. That's dumb. Why would they ever try? Like that's
Stuck
corny. That's silly. Yeah, for sure. And it's like, well, until you've done it or you've tried it, can you say that? Like, and so I think the word humility is a big piece of that. It's the willingness to be like, all right, this is something that I'm going to try at. No matter if it makes me feel silly or dumb or somebody pokes some fun at me or my friends don't agree or something. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things, man, that sometimes I think it's just, it takes kind of swallowing that humble pie to be able to take that step forward.
Yeah, and it's very important if you can swallow that humble pie and you're happy you're doing it. Like, what is there to lose?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you already feel like shit, man.
You're already feeling like shit.
What are you missing out on? Yeah,
exactly. Like, are you really gonna be too prideful to do a small little change in your life that is already
to write down things
not
that make
going?
You smile? Yeah, exactly.
Like one thing that just popped in my head is how Jordan Peterson said, take some time to yourself and ask yourself, what can I do to be better? And maybe in this, or it was something like that. And maybe in this case, it's, hey, what can I do to make myself happier?
Sure.
And I'm sure that if you were, I don't do this. I don't take the time out to actually ask simplistic, personal questions like that. But would that benefit me? Yeah. Like just taking 10 minutes of just silence and, thinking about that question. I know it would. So, maybe that's something that we should practice doing, is just doing those simple things that, yeah, it may sound silly, it may.
But check in with yourself.
Check in with yourself. Yeah, like we're all tuned in to, listening to music all day, listening to audiobooks all day. I don't know.
Consuming politics and media and.
But do we actually spend time with ourselves to see, to solve the problems that we have?
Some of you MFs will do a TikTok dance, but you won't fucking write down the things that make you happy. Like,
yeah, man.
Give me a break, man. Like,
and I don't think it's. I think it's because they just. And I say this because I'm one of those people too. You don't really think about it. You have all of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
Even if you're feeling, shitty, you're like, well, hey, or you don't even think about it. It's just, hey, you have these responsibilities.
Yeah.
You have these expectations that you think, you need to be doing. So why would you take the time to, do something outside of that?
Yeah.
But, I think it's important to think about, because whenever it's so pressing that you have to address it, that's the time where, everything is crashing down.
If you would have caught it a little earlier by just taking some actionable steps.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, I would agree with that, man. Kind of to tail end on that, there's been, whenever I was first, had started bodybuilding and I competed a couple times, I didn't realize the great thing it would do for me that was to basically force me to take care of myself, as far as like getting to bed on time, eating the right ways, doing cardio, weight training, getting sun, like, doing mobility routines and things, you know what I mean? Like, and that was honestly like the part of it that I liked the most, I think, wasn't even necessarily the competition, but like for the sake of competition, I need to be essentially taking care of myself all day to the best of my ability, and I found that like my mental health was the wildest between ages, whatever, like 14 and maybe 18. And the 2 times it was the best, man, during that time period was when I was in a prep. And I think it was just because like, hey, I've got to follow this routine of getting up on time so that I can eat the right things and consume for me and have time to work out and then have time to, do. And it was basically just this sort of this discipline, accountability routine that kept me on this cycle of taking care of myself continuously.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big piece of it, is it's like taking those actionable steps, whether it's, getting up out of bed on time and going outside and taking a walk, or it's doing your daily discipline tasks or whatever it is. Like, those things will keep you in sync and keep you moving and keep you feeling good.
It's funny. We have all these things to improve different parts of our life, but we don't have things to just make it more simple.
Right.
And make us like just happier and
I think a piece of that as well could be, learning how to take out the things that don't make you happy.
Yeah.
And whether that could be like, drinking a certain amount, or that could be, hanging out with a certain individual, or that could be, the habit you have of, avoiding, doing dishes when you get home from work, and then you wake up in the morning and you're pissed that there's dishes in the sink. You know what I mean? Like, I think it could be taking steps like that as well. Like, what are some things I can do to keep things in check and in routine, and get rid of the things that I know make me unhappy or cause me stress or things of that nature. So I think that's another side of that coin that could be acknowledged as well, is not only your gratitude list, not only, saying those things out loud, but what are some steps you can do to eliminate the things that might set you off a little bit or put you in a dark place, or, you know what I mean? So things of that.
Maybe after this podcast, we should, and for all the listeners, they should just take some time to just write
some things out.
Yeah, write some things out.
What makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? What stresses me out? How am I allocating time to those things?
Yeah, because a lot of it is, you're blind to it until you actually look at it.
Yeah, and part of that significance too is the fact that you could be the most unroutine person in the world, but you're still basically doing the same things every day.
Yes.
And the fact that you got to eat, you got to go to work, you got to sleep, So it's a lot of those core things are so habitual and routine. So if it's something where it's like, you don't like 4 hours out of your day, well, 4 times 7, that's how many hours a week you're pissed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that's kind of how that's how
Shit
you have to think
builds
about
up.
it, is sort of on this big scale. Like it's their routine. Like if you hate your job, it's the most miserable thing on planet Earth, and you do it 60 hours a week, and you're spending half your week being miserable. You know, so it I know it's not all that simple, but it comes down to, you know, are you going to take the steps to make the little shit a little bit better for yourself? Whether that's, you know, waking up 15 minutes earlier so you're not stressed in the morning getting ready for work. Whether that's, you know, knowing you're not going to have a conversation with a certain person about a certain topic to avoid a, you know, a political debate or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's little steps you could take, man, that can take some things off your own plate. So you ready to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do it. I have a question actually for my cousin Destiny.
Shout out Destiny.
Yeah, shout out. And she says LMAO at the end of this. I don't know if it's a joke, but I feel like she's very serious.
What do we got?
Hey, what happens if I mix pre-workout and alcohol?
Isn't that basically what like Four Loko is?
Probably, man. Four Loko is insane.
I don't really know. I mean, my guess is you would just go a little wild. It depends on the pre-workout. Like, I already think caffeine and alcohol together is definitely probably a bad decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, were you talking about like mixing in like beta alanine and shit like that with like vodka or something? I don't know, man. That might be a pretty bad move.
Yeah, but you know this. It's funny. This takes me to the thought of whiskey and deadlifts. You know, it takes off the limiter from, you know, your I guess your body inhibiting your strength.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
you get that drunk man strength.
Yeah, so you have that crazy, you know, ability to just flip that switch from the pre-workout, and then you have the drunken strength of whiskey.
To feel no pain.
Yes. So for all y'all powerlifters out here that's watching this podcast episode,
give that a try.
Give that a try.
Certified.
Yeah, that's PTC certified.
Medical disclaimer here. Yeah, medical disclaimer here. You know, I'm already not on the pre-workout train as it is. So if you're talking about mixing alcohol with it, I'm definitely out on that one. So I think I'll stick with like a Coors Light or something, man.
I would try it. I would try it once, man. But it would have to be deadlifts.
Well, the thing that just comes like, I feel like with all the crazy like flavor combinations they make, like, did you ever do C4?
Yeah.
That's like the most like generic gym bro. You get it from Walmart. That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
The blue, I feel like you could put some vodka with the blue raz, bro. And
heck yeah.
Another medical disclaimer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with like a light beer away from training.
I got you.
That's a good question.
That's a good idea.
What is your opinion on different workout styles, circuit training, etc.? It's always going. That's a little broad. It's always going to depend upon your goals, man. And so it's funny that question was asked because we were just talking about this a minute ago.
Yeah.
So let me start with circuit training. So right now, because I'm recovering from a surgery and things are a little bit more submaximal and I'm more so just trying to move, elevate my heart rate and do a little bit of resistance training. Yeah, circuit training is great for my specific goal right now. You know, I think for some reason, man, like exercise and exercise routines and the way they're done, like people look at it like a religion. Like it needs to be done this specific way.
Forever.
It has to, yeah, exactly. And, you know, that might be a little ironic of me to say just because I believe that in the specificity of movement patterns and like loading exercises. But as far as like how it all ends up as like sets, reps, rest periods, like things like that, tempos, you know, things like that, like, you know, that's a different conversation to be had. But so as far as like circuit training goes, if you're trying to build as much muscle as humanly possible, probably not. If you're trying to build a little bit of muscle, be in good cardiovascular shape, be able to get a lot in a little bit amount of time, sure, it's great. I would say all my clients are doing at least some sort of superset, even if we're powerlifting, well, between sets, we're going to be doing some sort of mobility or core stabilization or something along those lines. So, but pretty much everybody is always working enough to keep the heart rate elevated. But if it's someone that our sole goal is putting size on, we might be doing one exercise and taking like 3 to 5 minutes between breaks. But all of that to say, I don't really follow any dogmatic style. I would say go with what you like and what you see works and what you enjoy the most and what you feel like you can build upon. So do you have an answer to that?
I agree with the last statement. You know, just do what you want, what works for you, and you know what you enjoy,
right?
Unless you're an athlete, but at that point you should have knowledge about what type of exercise
Yeah.
regimen you should be following.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for a power lifter, they're not going to be doing, CrossFit
Right.
style circuit training.
Yeah. Do
you
you
know,
need to be
shit
doing
like
burpees
that.
if you're a power lifter?
Yeah, exactly. So for most individuals, I feel like they would, benefit the most from just regular, supersets, and
Mm-hmm.
they'd be able to get some good muscle, get some good cardio,
Yeah.
and complete their training sessions in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're wanting maybe a more intense, higher heart rate exercise, then yeah, try circuit training. If you don't and you're looking to build on, some muscle mass, then it's whatever your goals are,
Whatever the goals are.
Yeah,
Sport
man.
specific. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to is specificity for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you don't even have to be, I guess, in a sport. It's just whatever you want to do.
Right. What are you trying to accomplish? What are the things that you're specifically trying to improve upon? Those are the things that you should be training.
Yeah, and take some time also to ask yourself, what the goal is for training. Like if you're training a specific style for years and your goal, changes 5 times, why are you doing, and those 5 times the training needs to be adjusted for those 5 different goals, then why are you doing the same training method all those 5 times? That probably doesn't make any sense. You're probably just doing it because it's a routine thing.
It's just like a shotgun approach. It's just too broad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next one. Oh, okay. How's your recovery going? Thank you for asking. That's very nice. My recovery is going well, man. I think I mentioned earlier I got my first little baby workout in today that was in circuit fashion. But it feels good just to move, man. I would say having surgery was, I already knew how important movement was to me, but not being able to move the way I wanted to, like after surgery, like just being in pain, standing up, sitting down was the biggest like eye opener that, man, I need to be able to move forever because this shit sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be out the other end of that and on the path to getting back to where we were. But man, I'm grateful to be able to move for sure. For sure. So cool. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Peace.
Peace.